All right, let's talk about something you use every single second you're online, but probably never even see. We're talking about APIs. Think of them as the invisible engines that make our entire digital world, well, work. They're the secret sauce that lets all your apps talk to each other.
Have you ever wondered, how does my phone know it's about to rain? Or, how can I use Google Maps inside an airline's website to book a flight? Or my favorite one, logging into a brand new app with just a single click of your Facebook account. Is it magic? Nope. The answer to all of this is APIs. They're the hidden connections that make our digital lives feel so seamless.
So, okay, what is this three-letter acronym that's basically running the internet behind the scenes? Let's get into it and break down what an API actually is.
Okay, so the full name is Application Programming Interface, but what that really means is it's just a set of rules, a rulebook that lets different software programs talk to each other. It's not really an app itself, it's more like a translator or a messenger. It lets two pieces of software communicate without needing to know all the messy, complicated details about how the other one is built.
This is probably the best analogy you'll ever hear for an API. Seriously. Think about being in a restaurant. You're the customer, right? And the kitchen, well, that's the system. The server, the place that has all the stuff you want. Now, you don't just barge into the kitchen and start making your own food. Of course not. You talk to the waiter. You tell the waiter what you want. That waiter is the API. They take your order to the kitchen prepares it, and the waiter brings it right back to you. The API handles all that back and forth so you don't have to.
Or, hey, here's another great way to picture it. Think of APIs as Lego bricks. Yeah, digital Legos. They let developers just snap different services together. I mean, why would you build a whole new payment system from the ground up when you can just plug in the Stripe API? Or why build a mapping service when you can just use the Google Maps API? It's this snap-together approach that lets people build amazing new things so incredibly fast.
But at its very core, an API is really just a contract. It's a promise. A service provider is basically saying, look, if you ask me for something in this specific format, I promise I will always give you a response back in this specific format. That reliability, that contract is what makes the whole digital world trust itself enough to work together. Okay, so we get what they are, but why do they matter so much? Why are they so absolutely critical to how the internet works today? To get that, we need to talk about the rise of what people call the API economy. You could argue that the history of the modern web is the history of APIs. It all started back in the early 2000s, when companies like eBay and Salesforce opened up their platforms, which kickstarted a ton of online businesses. Then, a few years later, social APIs from Facebook and Twitter completely changed how we share information. The real game changer, though? 2006. Amazon Web Services launched its cloud APIs, basically letting anyone rent a supercomputer. And then, of course, the iPhone arrived in 2007, and mobile APIs just exploded. That's what created the app world we all live in now.
So the benefits are just massive. First, integration. You can connect anything to anything else. Then there's innovation. Developers don't have to reinvent the wheel. They can build on top of what's already there. You also get scalability, because all the different parts of a system are separate and can grow independently. And of course, automation, letting computers do the boring, repetitive stuff so we can focus on the hard problems. This is exactly why, for any modern company, having a solid API strategy isn't just a nice to have, it's an absolute must.
So how does that conversation between two programs actually work? Well, it all boils down to a really simple, elegant little dance called the request and response cycle. It's always these 4 steps, every single time. First up is the request. Your app sends a message to a very specific address, which we call an endpoint. Step 2 is authentication. The server on the other end basically asks, who are you, and are you allowed to ask me for this? Then comes processing. The server does its thing. It finds the data or performs the action you asked for. And finally, number 4, the response. The server sends the information back, and it includes a status code. You've probably heard of some of these, like 200 OK for everything's good, or the infamous 404 not found when it can't find what you're looking for. And this is a really important point to get. We have to separate the user interface, the UI, from the API. The UI is for us, for people. It's the buttons, the menus, the pretty graphics we see and touch. The API, on the other hand, is for computers. It's the under-the-hood stuff, the machine-to-machine chatter that happens in the background when you click one of those buttons. It's what fetches the data to make the UI actually do something useful. But here's the thing. Not all APIs are the same. Just like you have different kinds of waiters for a fancy restaurant versus a casual diner, you have different styles of APIs for different jobs. Let's quickly cover the big three. First, you've got SOAP. Think of it as the old school, super formal waiter in a tuxedo. It's very rigid, very standardized, and incredibly secure, which is why you still see it in places like banking and healthcare. Then there's REST. REST is the friendly, efficient waiter that you find almost everywhere. It's flexible, easy to work with, and it's pretty much the standard for the web today. And finally, there's the new kid on the block, GraphQL, which came out of Facebook. Its superpower is being super specific. Instead of the kitchen sending you a whole preset meal, GraphQL lets you order exactly the items you want, which is amazing for mobile apps where you don't want to waste any data. So it's clear, right? APIs are the invisible glue that holds, well, everything together online. But that creates a problem. Because they're the doorways to all this valuable data and powerful systems, they also have a giant target painted on their backs. And I mean a giant target. Just look at this number. It's insane. Over a 2-year period, Akamai tracked 16.5 billion, with a B, attacks where criminals tried to use stolen passwords to break into APIs. 16.5 billion attempts to force open those digital doors. And why? It's simple. If you can get past the API, you get the keys to the kingdom. You get all the data. That's why API security is one of the single biggest challenges in cybersecurity today. And that brings us to what's next, because the next massive wave of tech, especially AI, is being built almost entirely on APIs. Think about it. AI models need APIs to get data, to understand what's happening, and to actually do things in the world. So the question we're left with isn't just what is an API anymore. The real question is, what incredible and maybe even a little scary new digital experiences are being built with them right now as we speak? Thanks for joining this explainer.